Hi, beauties. Welcome back to Beauty and Me with Tina. Today's episode is the first part of a three-part episode of Mind, Body, and Spirit. Your mind is your mental health, your physical well-being. It's what helps you make decisions, solve problems, and keep going when life gets hard. And it's important to take care of your mind, just like you would any other part of yourself, with love and attention. That means making sure you're getting enough sleep, eating right, exercising regularly, and spending time with friends and family. You should also be open to trying new things that give your brain a workout, like puzzles or video games. And if there are any negative thoughts or feelings that creep up on you from time to time, like anxiety or sadness, try identifying them and then figure out how to handle them in a healthy way, like talking to someone who can help or take some time to yourself. My next guest will be the perfect person to talk to should you need help. She is the owner of Restoration Waters Counseling and a licensed clinical social worker. It's none other than Sarah McAvina. She's up next.
Hi, beauties. Welcome back to Beauty and Me with Tina. I'm your host, Tina, and I have my wonderful guest here, Sarah. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Can you please tell our viewers about yourself?
I can. My name is Sarah McElvenna, and I grew up here in Georgia. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I have been married for 20 years, have 2 teenage daughters, so prayers always appreciated. and then we have a dog and a cat and 8 chickens.
Oh, wow.
I know. Didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I did not. That was definitely a surprise. So you're the owner of Restoration Waters Counseling.
Yes.
And you're a licensed clinical social worker.
Right.
For our audience that are not familiar, including myself, What is a licensed clinical social worker?
All right. So the field of social work is a huge field, first of all. And social work is a profession of just genuinely caring about helping people, bettering situations. Clinical social work is a specialty of social work that goes into mental health. So diagnosing, assessing, treatment plans, doing critical care interventions and crisis management work.
Oh, wow.
So there are so many aspects of social work that are a really neat thing to get into. I don't know.
Okay, so we learned something new together.
It's a lot.
So what made you want to be a licensed clinical social worker?
For me, I grew up in a very well-supported church, and I have people who knew me really well. I went into a undergraduate degree in psychology, and one of my professors has known me my whole life and really helped steer me into social work, knowing my passion for helping people, for advocating. Advocacy is a huge part of social work, of being able to see social injustices, speak to that, policy writing. So she knew my heart and could see early on that that would be such a good fit for me. And I am always so grateful to her for kind of directing me there. And then knowing the clinical part was always really big. I love mental health. My hope is always to help hold a space to just help people navigate feelings and emotions in really hard life situations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you help people. That's pretty much been your calling all this time. How important would you say self-care is?
Huge, huge. Self-care, even when I started in my undergrad in psychology and then going into the field of social work, was a conversation that started early on because social work is such a exhausting profession. There's so much that you can give and give and give, and there's always more to do. So self-care has been a conversation that's been around for me for a really long time. So for all of us, though, it is a huge, important part of our daily, weekly, monthly, yearly practice.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating when I say self-care is important. It's
It's
not
so
just, it should be
important.
a way of life.
Yes.
How much of a difference would you say just taking 5 minutes
Yeah.
of your day for self-care is?
Gosh, it's huge. It's huge. To me, that 5 minutes, whether it's at the front end of your day when you're waking up, maybe doing a little bit of mindfulness practice, or gratitude reflection, or that's your time that you spend practicing your faith practices, or if it is learning that in the middle of feeling overwhelmed and exhausted and fatigued, that you take 5 minutes to do some deep breathing or to kind of step away from a situation, that can shift our emotional and behavior responses that we have, especially when we're showing up as moms, we're showing up as leaders, we're showing up as employees in our workplaces. How we respond and navigate those situations in those moments can literally shift.
That is, she's
Yeah.
saying everything that I've been preaching about. So, as a mom, a
Yeah.
wife, a business owner,
Yeah.
how do you make time for self-care and balance work and
Right?
family?
I know. I don't know. I kind of hoped you would answer that question. I think it is an ongoing and a learned practice. I would say one of the first things that's so important is being able to give yourself permission to know that you are going to mess it up, that you're not going to practice it perfectly all of the time. And that looks like, maybe you put a practice. So like Fridays are kind of my Sabbath days where I try and practice. I'm a doer and I like to check things off. And so Fridays are my days to not do as much, but I have to be very intentional about these are my 3 things that I'm allowed to accomplish. And then the rest of that time, how do I build that time to be soul care for me? Things that are restorative, that bring me rest, that bring me joy. And sometimes that is, the spa days and doing, self-care that way. And other times it's having lunch with a girlfriend or yes.
I love those.
Oh.
What advice would you give a woman that is trying to start self-care?
Yeah. Again, I think the permission part is so big, of knowing sometimes too, you have to try a few things to figure out what works for you too and what you really like. Some people love doing deep soaks and baths and all of the facials. Yes. And some people do not. For me, I know this is probably random. I love being in the woods. And I love being in the woods specifically when it's raining. That to me is just so, I've got that Scottish heritage. So I say it's like my people coming out. So finding what works for you, navigating a couple things, and starting small. Maybe it's learning to do some square breathing and incorporating that into your day. Mindfulness, learning about that practice of just taking time to kind of absorb your environment. Or it could just be looking at, some pictures that kind of like we all love the Instagram, take us to a different location pictures.
Yes.
Some of those can be great to save and have a little board where you just take a mental vacation and you just go to those happy places and be able to kind of disconnect for a little bit and then step back into what you got going on.
Never thought about that, but I may have to try that.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of that.
So, what should a woman do if she is trying to overcome trauma or that negative self-talk?
Yeah, gosh, that's a big question. If we're all honest, we all have layers of trauma. Some traumas are really big traumas, and other traumas feel a little smaller. And those are the ones that we carry all of them around with us. But those are the ones that sometimes we neglect to address because we think, well, it's not as big of a deal as such and such's trauma or other things people have gone through, but they're all huge deals. And so to me, the baseline of that is find a good therapist and get curious and don't wait for things to build up and get really big for you. start now. Be curious about your journey. Be curious about your experiences. Allow yourself to, have therapy as a huge form of self-care, because that is in the top tier level of self-care, in my opinion.
That is very true, because
Yeah.
we can always take care of the outside. We can
Yeah.
always do the makeup, do the
Yeah.
shopping, but even
Yeah.
if you look happy, we do it all the time. We look happy on the outside, but internally
Mhm.
we're fighting.
Yeah.
People say
Yes.
demons, but we're
Yes.
having that inner battle. So
Yeah.
self-care is very important now,
Yeah.
but people are also
Yeah.
realizing, I need to do some internal work. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
because of COVID, but
Right.
they're
Yeah.
discovering, what,
And
there's
that
more
has
that
a big,
I need to fix.
right.
So I just mentioned, and you just mentioned, self-care come in different forms.
Mhm.
How important is it to overcome the negative talk, the trauma that you've dealt with, before you start doing the outer self-care?
Yeah. Well, in a perfect world, we would all have better accessibility to care
True.
and affordable care. And so even when I say starting therapy, I think it's important to take time to find a therapist that you feel like is a good fit for you, to do some research, to call and ask questions. For me, when people call in and want to start services, it's really important for me to have a conversation of what are you looking to delve into, what feels really important to you, and making sure that that's a good fit, how often you would want to go to therapy, because learning how to get rid of the negative self-talk takes a lot of practice. I had a conversation with my teen daughter last night. She was in her head, and I said, "This is how you do, that." You kind of have to just capture that thought, and that takes some practice. And then it takes more practice being able to replace it and shift into, a more positive thought. And being intentional again, this is where like visual boards come in handy, because sometimes we need those visual distractions to get us out of our memories. There are so many amazing therapists on Instagram too that feed you a lot of positive. So if you're needing to numb out on Instagram and social media, find some good therapists to follow so that you have that language that's being filtered in, that you're reading and you're learning, and that becomes part of your dialogue as well.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm trying.
How many rabbit holes?
Yeah, it's like there's so many formats to ask like different questions.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk about it enough.
No.
It's, even though self care is a big thing, it's more of the expense, the more
Right.
of, okay, I need to shop, or I need to
Yes.
take a spa day, or I need to get a makeover. But we never talk about, okay,
Right.
what internally do I need to
Yes.
do? Do I need to self reflect on
Yeah.
what's going on, what I've been through? So
Yeah.
setting the self care time for ourselves is nice, and it's easy if we can get it done. But for women that work, or just they're a caregiver, or they're moms, or all the above, how do you explain to your family and your kids or your partner, hey, it's not you, I'm not mad at you, but I just need a moment to reflect and take care of myself?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so two parts to this answer. The first part is, I think self-care is a spectrum, and there is the outside kind of beauty self-care that we talk about. Maybe it's you're getting your hair done or nails done, or you're going on a little shopping date or eating out with a friend. Those are great, and they're restorative, and they are important. Then there's the deeper form of the self-care. And so again, where I talk about therapy, to me, it is addressing the negative self-talk, but it's also teaching us boundaries. And boundaries are one of my favorite things to talk about, because we, especially as women, are taught to be very agreeable and to sacrifice, to put others first, to be very caring. And so when we need to take care of ourselves, we feel guilty, we feel wrong, we feel selfish. So that is a big part to me of the being curious about what self-care looks and feels like for you. Is being very curious about what are the feelings that are pushing you to not do self-care? And what is
Okay.
that language that you use there as well?
Okay.
Our language that we use tells us so much about what our internal struggles are and what our
Okay.
beliefs and where we have a really hard time navigating time for ourselves. So I would say be really curious about that part.
Okay.
Um, and also just giving permission to let other people be disappointed, to feel let down, to judge you or to think that you're selfish, because the reality is we can't control what other people think.
That's
And
true.
as long as we are in the practice of identifying what we need, learning how to share what we need, and then setting the boundary of this is what I need. So for mamas, again, I have 2 teen girls. And so there are many moments in my house um, where the conversation is, Mama just can't anymore.
Oh, I know.
And so Mama's going to need to take 10 minutes in her room. And that might be setting, my timer on my phone or on my stove, and truly saying, this is don't interrupt me time. And that's my time to go do some deep breathing, to read through some inspirational things, maybe to text a friend and just say, I'm struggling right now. I need some prayers. I need some support. Send me some words of encouragement. So navigating, again, those moments of stress and being able to communicate what you need to your family, clearly communicating that ahead of time as well, and being really intentional about it. Did that make sense?
It did.
I know that was a lot.
No, it's, I guess because I've already been there and I've been through the process, but I know there are a lot of women that haven't been through that process and they don't know how to go about it because they feel if they bring it up, they're going to be like a bad mom, a bad wife, a bad caregiver. And self-care is not a luxury. It is not a afterthought. It must be a necessity.
Yes.
My favorite thing to say is if you don't take care of yourself or love yourself, you can't take care of anyone else or love anyone else.
Right.
So you have just dropped a whole bunch of knowledge and advice and gems. Where can our audience get in contact with you or find you on social media or any platforms?
Yeah. Well, and I know you will tag everything too. So probably first place to go. I do own Restoration Waters Counseling. And so my website is restorationwaterscounseling.com. That's probably the best. And then being able to email me through there. I am on Instagram and have that social media platform. And so that's a good way to connect. And also just see different therapists that I'm following, different quotes and inspirational. I do speak a lot to the mamas. I love working with women. That was a huge part of my calling of working with young girls and with women, especially now, because we know that struggle together of holding all of the roles and managing a lot. And the first thing to go is usually time for ourselves and our self-care. So I wholeheartedly support you in saying it is not only important, but it's vital to sustaining ourselves to show up for others who we love and care for, but also for ourselves. And you are worthy of it, and you do not have to earn that time. Yes.
If you don't remember anything else, if you don't remember anything else from this whole conversation, please remember that.
You are worthy of that.
Beauties, I hope you got a lot of information from here. I am going to tag all her information on our site, on YouTube, and through my social media as well. But after these messages, we will be right back, have something special lined up for you guys.
Awesome.
In celebration of Women's History Month, Bella by Tina Foy presents Pearls and Pumps. High tea on Saturday, March 23rd, 2024 at Murphy's in Atlanta, Georgia, bringing together women for inspirational speakers, amazing food, and celebrating not only our achievements, but women of the past, present, and future. Get your tickets today. Available only at Pearls and Pumps, hightea.eventbrite.com.
The serum you've always wanted to try. The cleanser you've been dreaming of. The primer everyone's talking about are finally available. Get your glow on with Bella by Tina Ford. Skincare you love with values you believe in. Visit us at bellabytinafoy.com.
This week's beauty product of the week is Bella by Tina Foy Cosmetics Hydra Lip Gloss. Our hydrating, color stay, non-sticky luxury lip gloss will be your new favorite beauty item. Bella by Tina Foy Cosmetics. Available at bellabytinafoy.com.
Come on.
Hello, beautiful people. We are back here with Loving Me Style Session. I am Jennifer McCrae. We are here with Shakita. We have our third look. And I wanted to go with something that she probably normally wouldn't pick out on the shelf, something she probably wouldn't normally wear. So we got the oversized boyfriend jeans. Now, we've all seen these jeans on people. We're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can rock that look. Or then we go for it and they're just way too long. We don't want to cut them. We don't know what to do with them. So I'm going to show you a little hack here today that we worked out to be able to wear these pants and still show off our cute heels. And we're not dragging our jeans all over the floor, right? So today she's wearing a nice bodysuit by Gilly. Is also a brand that you can find on jmccraestyle.com. And then we have these beautiful jeans here as well. As you can see, they're distressed and they are hot. Can you do a turn for me? Oh yeah. Okay, you can't go wrong in these. And we want to wear it with a heel or a pump because everything always looks better with heels. But if we're going out and we want to stay in our feminine energy, why not put on a heel with our jeans? Okay, so what we did, I'm going to kind of pull you in a little closer here, camera. If you could take a look, what we did was we just kind of tied a little something right here and cuffed the jean over. See how cute that is? And it just gives us another little look. And it still shows off our heels and our jeans. So yeah, we have this cute life hack. We wanted to try something different. We wanted to do something that we normally don't do. How do you feel in this?
I feel good.
You feel good?
Yes.
Do you feel youthful maybe?
Beautiful, comfortable,
Do you feel trendy?
very trendy.
Is this something that you would normally wear or?
No, I wouldn't. But I like the style, so I would wear it.
Okay.
Now I'm trying it on.
Okay, cool. So sometimes it's nice to just have a friend or watch a show, maybe Loving Me Style Session, give you some ideas of what we can do to stay on trend and step outside of our box. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us for this session of Loving Me Style Session. And I also want to say this, it's okay to shop on budget. You know, a lot of us think we have to spend all this money to, really dress nice and stay on trend. We have some really, really nice pieces at jmccraestyle.com ranging anywhere from $25 to $300, So it's all up to you. Don't stress yourself out. You want to be comfortable. You want to stay on trend. You want to feel good about your decisions when you're shopping so you can walk with that glow and look good. Look good, feel good, right? So we'll see you soon. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Tina, for having me. Until next time, bye.
Beauties, I hope you had a great time with our first part of Mind, Body, and Spirit, ending with this first episode of Mind. I hope we were able to give you some insight into what you need to do should you need help or if you're having negative talk to yourself. But stay tuned next week, Sunday at 3 p.m. for part 2, Body. I have a very special guest. Beauties, have a wonderful week and see you next Sunday. Bye, beauties.